Hey, how's it going? That little homage to 2001 was for my Jambalaya Sandwich. It's an original recipe of my own. One of my absolute favorite sandwiches, but I don't make it very much because it takes a lot of effort. It's gonna be awesome.
To make a Jambalaya sandwich, you'll need a baguette, Creole hummus, Creole spiced turkey breast, andouille sausage, blackened shrimp, a tomato, a sweet Vidalia onion, and a bell pepper. Wait. Hold up. Blackened shrimp? Creole hummus? I need to back up a bit. Let's start at the beginning. Here we go with the spice mix. Your Creole spice mix consists of paprika, garlic powder, black pepper, cayenne pepper, granulated onion, thyme, and oregano. This is a salt-free version of Emeril Lagasse's Essence seasoning. I like to use a salt-free spice mix because it lets me control the salt content directly in my recipe. I can add salt or salty ingredients as I need to. The fewer salty ingredients there are, the easier it is to control in the final product. The spice mix acts as the base of all our flavors today. It goes in the hummus, and then it goes on the shrimp and the turkey. Each of those gets cooked differently, so we actually get a really vast array of complexity from the spice mix. The spices in the hummus and the turkey get toasted. The spices on the shrimp almost get burnt. They approach the edge of char. Mixing and matching those three components gives us layers of flavor that we don't get just cooking with one of them. Combine the paprika, garlic, onion, and peppers in a spice grinder, then pulse it a few times. Add the thyme and oregano, and pulse it a few more times. The final mix should be pretty powdery and evenly mixed. A few larger flakes of oregano or thyme are fine, but it shouldn't be chunky. You can keep this in an airtight container in your pantry for up to a few months. The first application of our spice mix is in a Creole hummus. You'll need olive oil, the spice mix, chickpeas, tahini, lemon juice, and garlic. I personally hate gritty hummus, so this recipe starts by infusing the oil with the Creole spice mix. That gives us the flavor we want without changing the consistency. Set a small dry pan over medium heat and add your spice mix. Stir constantly to toast the spices without burning them. Once they become fragrant, maybe 30 to 45 seconds, add your olive oil and continue stirring. Once the spices begin to bubble and boil off what little moisture they do contain, remove the pan from the heat and strain the oil through a fine mesh sieve. Let the infused oil cool to room temperature before proceeding. Combine the chickpeas, tahini, lemon juice, and garlic in a food processor or blender. Turn on the machine and stream in the infused oil slowly. It should quickly form a recognizable hummus. If your hummus is too thick, you can thin it out with water. Add a tablespoon at a time. I like my hummus quite thick, but it caused some issues with the blender. It was so thick that it wasn't actually falling down back into the blades, it just formed a giant dome around them. That's how I like my hummus, but I probably should have used my food processor here. Oh, and if you want to make a standard hummus, use this recipe but skip the spice infusion. Just use plain olive oil. With the creamy component handled, it's time to move to the rest of the ingredients. Start by roasting your bell pepper. There are a ton of ways to roast or char a pepper. The best is to do it on a charcoal grill. I have a kitchen torch, so I'm going to play with fire. This did a really nice job of charring the outside, and that's what you want. The pepper should be entirely black on the outside. Burn the outer skin to charcoal. Go all over. Leave no hint of red behind. This is the only cooking the pepper is going to get, so don't be shy with the heat. At this point, the char is rubbing off as I move the pepper around, so I think it's just time to let it steam. Put it in a bowl and cover it with a towel, or stick it in a paper bag. Set aside while you prep the other ingredients. We're going to pan roast the tomato. It needs a little bit of prep. Core out the stem with a paring knife. Choke up on the blade and extend your thumb so it's about a centimeter from the tip. Then insert the blade into the tomato, angling from the outside of the stem towards the center. Stop when your thumb just barely touches the tomato. Work the knife back and forth as you turn the tomato in your other hand. The goal is to carve out an iceberg-shaped chunk that has all the hard bits of the stem while leaving as much flesh as possible behind. Now just cut your tomato in half and season it with a bit of kosher salt. Now for the onion. This is going to get caramelized, so it needs to be sliced. To get even slices, cut the onion on a radial basis, meaning that from wherever you are on the outside of the onion, angle your knife and cut toward the center. To take it a step further, actually make your cuts so that they fall a bit shy of center. This keeps the innermost layer of onion from being shaved paper thin. Onto the andouille sausage. This is also getting pan-seared, so I'm just going to cut it into quarters and get good contact with the pan. One trick to keep things like capicola or bologna from curling up in the pan is to cut slits along the outside. You'll see that I tried this with the andouille links, but it didn't really work. Roasted tomatoes. Finally, we move to the stovetop. Bring a large skillet to searing temperature over high heat and add a tablespoon or so of olive oil. Swirl to coat the pan, Pat your tomatoes dry, and then add them cut side down. Sear them for 3 to 4 minutes before flipping. You want browning across the entire face of the tomato. Flip them and cook on the skin side for another 3 to 4 minutes. Remove from the pan, wipe it clean, and return it to the stove. Caramelized onions. This is one thing you cannot rush. It will always take time. Reduce your heat to medium-low, add another tablespoon of oil or butter, and add the onions. Stir frequently. Add a bit of salt. Keep stirring frequently. Caramelizing onions takes time and low heat. The easiest way is to put them in a slow cooker overnight, but for the sake of the video, I'm doing them on the stovetop. Expect at least half an hour of stirring at the stove. I won't take them all the way to the jammy stage either. A few of them did get a little charred because I was rushing things, but it's not the end of the world. Remove the onions when they are softened throughout and have taken on a deep golden color. Next, sear off the andouille sausage. Get some oil back in the pan, kick the heat back up to medium-high, and drop your sausages in cut side down. Let them cook for 2 to 4 minutes until a good crust has been built up. Because I'm a big cooking nerd, I'm weighing down the sausages for good contact with the pan. I want that Maillard goodness edge to edge, and it helps keep them from curling up quite so bad. Cook the sausages until they are fully cooked through, flipping as needed to avoid burning them. I brought these up to 155 degrees internal temperature. Blackened shrimp. For this recipe, you'll need shrimp, olive oil, and the Creole spice mix. Your shrimp should be raw, peeled, and deveined. You can buy them that way or do it yourself. If you do peel and devein your shrimp, hold on to the shells. They make an excellent quick shrimp stock. Toss the shrimp with the Creole spices to completely coat them. Then add the olive oil and toss again. Back at the stovetop, wipe out your pan, get a bit of oil down, and once it's hot, add the shrimp in a single layer. Let the shrimp cook for about a minute before you go in with some tongs to flip. When you reveal the cooked side of the shrimp, it should have a beautiful dark crust of spices. Let it cook another 90 seconds or 2 minutes, just until it's cooked to the middle, and remove the shrimp. Everything's cooked, now we just have to prepare it. At this point, the bell pepper will have steamed. Bring it over to the sink and wash off the charred skin. If you did a good job of charring, it'll just flake away under water. What's left is a soft, somewhat slippery bell pepper. To slice the roasted red pepper, trim off the top and bottom, then cut down one side of the pepper. Keep your knife as close to the inside of the pepper as you can to remove the pith as close to the flesh as possible. Then just unroll the pepper and slice away the core as you go. Everything here will be tender, soft, and pliable from roasting and steaming. Discard the seeds and pith. Cut the pepper into manageable sheets, then hold your knife at an extremely shallow angle and slice the pepper as thin as you can manage. The goal is to get wide, flat ribbons of roasted pepper, not strings. Now slice everything else. The best slices of the tomato are going to be the browned edges. Make sure each sandwich gets some of that. In my opinion, shrimp are a bit bulky for a sandwich. Slice those in half. Cut the andouille at a bias to get thin slices. If you want to see how I made the turkey, click the link in this earlier video. I just used my Creole spice mix instead of the herb salt, and it worked great. Shave the turkey as best you can. I wish I had a meat slicer. Lastly, cut your baguette into sandwich size and split it in half. I used a store-bought baguette and lightly toasted it. Just 3 minutes in a 450 degree oven. The end result is that the crust is incredibly crispy and flaky. I know some of these aren't traditional jambalaya ingredients and it's missing rice. I also don't really care. This isn't meant to be jambalaya scooped onto a roll. It's a sandwich inspired by and reminiscent of jambalaya, filled with the flavors of Louisiana. Food is a powerful thing. Tastes and smells are tied to memory and emotion in ways we don't fully understand. Just smelling chocolate chip cookies can make you feel like a kid again. This sandwich is an emotional journey for me. The flavors take me back to visiting New Orleans, the week I spent in the French Quarter eating jambalaya and ordering a Sazerac every chance I got. But while it reminds me of that week, it also acts as a reminder that food is a creative act. I made this recipe because it's something I wanted to see in the world. It's a reflection of me as much as it is a rumination on jambalaya. This is personal in a way that other recipes I've shared haven't been. This video is an invitation. Join me on an emotional journey in the shape of a sandwich. Make yourself a Sazerac, maybe a Vieux Carré, or just grab an Abita. But come along, we're about to go into the tasting.
Well, that is the hardest I've ever worked for a sandwich. It's been about 8 hours of shooting. I'm hungry. I love this sandwich. It is a lot of work, but it's so good. Tons and tons of flavor. Using the spice mix throughout for the blackened shrimp, for the turkey, for the hummus, just really fills the sandwich with flavor. You get nice sweetness from the onions and tomatoes and peppers. The turkey and andouille and shrimp add some nice heat and a textural component. This is best served warm, not hot. It's not a toasted sandwich, but you still want the shrimp and the andouille and the turkey if you can get it, the tomatoes, the bell pepper, the onions, all of those should be warm. The hummus can be room temperature, that's fine. It's so good. Messy though. All in all, this is a sandwich that when I eat it, it reminds me of jambalaya. I call it the Jambalaya Sandwich because it's inspired by those ingredients, the way that I make my jambalaya at home. It has never steered me wrong. It's been a long damn time since I've made this though. I haven't made this sandwich in about 6 years, I think, because it is so much effort. If I had a restaurant, this would probably be on the menu. It would be a lot easier if these ingredients were on hand already. We could have blackened shrimp on the menu. We could have a Creole or Cajun hummus ready and in the kitchen, and I don't have to spend 8 hours making a single sandwich when, you know, there are multiple people doing prep and coordinating efforts. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out as a content creator. If you want to see more original recipes from me, let me know down in the comments. If you would like to support the show, you can do so over on Patreon. Link is in the description. Now, if you excuse me, I have to finish this sandwich. It's so good.